This is the Hella Creative Archive, where we explore the creative processes of hella creative people. Welcome.
Hey.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
So, who are you and how are you hella creative?
Okay. Well, my name is Aftan. I go by Aftan Captain. That's like my stage name. I'm a comedian and a writer, and I also curate events. I guess it's like my medium. But I guess how I don't know. I got to being a creative. I think it was just exposure. My parents put me in an art school, in elementary school, and so I got exposed to, I guess, just like a bunch of different arts as a very young age. But even through that, I feel like my scope would sometimes be limited because I wasn't an exactly skilled visual artist, if you will, like in terms of painting and drawing. I had a really hard time reading music, and for a long time I probably would not have considered myself a creative, like at all. But I still had a desire to create something, and I just started exploring a bunch of different mediums, and had opportunities to try the ones that I do now, and they kind of stuck. So I'm just leaning into them. Yeah.
What led you to comedy? What was that journey?
Ooh, that one is like the one I probably have, I guess, the least graceful story for. I was living here in New Orleans and I started comedy. I graduated high school in 2015 and I studied biology, and I was living in Charleston, South Carolina, pretty much up until COVID. And then I went back to Jackson for a little bit, and then I moved down here. And I was super drunk at Cajun's on St. Claude, doing karaoke, and a comedy show producer that produces a show at the Always Lounge happened to be there that night and was like, "You have great stage presence, like, have you ever thought about doing stand-up?" And I was like, "No," but I did like take theater class in school, so maybe there's some overlap, and sure enough, there was. There was a lot of overlap. I was like, oh my gosh, this feels like performing a monologue that I wrote. So it's just, I kind of took that approach to it and just remembered my theater basics, and I just went for it.
So you was a writer first?
No, I wouldn't even say that I was a writer first. No.
So you started writing because of comedy?
Yes, because of comedy. And I originally got into comedy from storytelling. The first paid gig that I was offered was it was like a storytelling based comedy show where comics had like a 10 to 15 minute slot to just tell a story. They gave us a theme and we just told an entertaining story. And so I went up there and mostly told a story, but I was curious about, I guess, like how comedy worked. And I just went on YouTube University and like did some research on just like the structure of jokes and very tried to loosely incorporate them into my story. When I go back and watch that video, like they were all really bad, but it was a start. I just kept experimenting with it and just seeing if I could create jokes out of the stories that I wanted to tell.
So what does it take to write a joke? Like mentioned that you learned up on YouTube University. Like I'm imagining you being like, okay, I gotta get like how to joke.
No, literally, and like I ended up finding, crazy enough, this book and worksheet called How to Write Funny, and it basically took a joke and created a formula out of like a stand-up joke, and it just broke it down and said a joke is really just your opinion on something, and you put it through air quote a funny filter, and you take your opinion and you find something that's maybe ironic about it, or maybe your opinion involves some wordplay that people would find comical, or just one of like the options that they had, and just kind of seeing like where your opinion fits and how you could translate it to an audience in a way that would be perceived as a joke. So it's like really rudimentary, and I feel like a lot of my inspiration just comes from like observations that I have about either myself or the world around me. And I'm like, how could I bring light to this in a way that would maybe make people laugh? So that's just kind of the approach that I take with my joke writing now.
So what does it take? So we got writing. What does it take to be up there and perform like a joke? What does that take out of you?
Oh my gosh, more than I expected. I think that that's the difference between doing like theatrical arts and stand-up comedy. In the past, I was on stage reading something and performing something someone else had wrote, and I enjoyed it. I love seeing the audience be entertained by what I was saying, but I didn't have that personal connection to it because I didn't write it. I'm pretending to be a character, and when you're on stage, the character you're pretending to be is literally you, and you are making jokes about your personal observations about the world, and bombing hits different. Like when they don't laugh at a monologue that someone else wrote, I could go fuck. Can you say that again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had to check. But yeah, when I bomb on something that I wrote or like my personal, it means more. Maybe that's just like the Pisces in me. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I hope they hear me out.
Yeah. Y'all, I just got something to say.
It's just like I was reading this thing and it made me feel. How do y'all feel? And I feel fortunate enough that my comedy has been received well for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So I love that.
Yeah.
But I want the tea. Like, what's the time where you thought your joke was fire, but you bombed?
Oh, yeah. So I bomb a lot. I won't say like most sets I bomb, because it must be me being hard on myself. But I have definitely been in some situations where I brought a set in there that I wanted to perform that I had wrote and practiced. But maybe it wasn't the set for the audience in the room, and I should have had like more flexibility and maybe lean into a little bit more improv instead of like coming up there with the jokes that I want to talk about. I understand like my perspective is different. Like I'm a queer Black person from Mississippi, and I talk a lot about my experiences being from Mississippi and living other places. And so when I go back into rooms or spaces where I know that experience may not be as familiar, I would love to be able to find the familiarities between me and the audience instead of forcing them to, I guess, kind of grasp a concept they may not be familiar with. So bombing happens often, but I would definitely say like the phase 2 of being a comedian is like social backlash from jokes. I definitely have jokes that have not aged well, to say the least. I'm currently being crucified online by a joke that I made about Jackson's water. And even in that, like, I was really angry, I guess, for the joke being misconstrued.
Wait, what was the joke?
The joke was that when I came to New Orleans, I heard that they were having issues with their water. And when I'm on stage explaining it, I'm like, well, me being from Jackson, a place that has historically never had clean water, when I hear that another city close to ours is struggling with their water, I'm immediately intrigued. And I go on to say that I wanted to find out more information about the saltwater intrusion / crisis happening in New Orleans. So I go on the most legitimate source I could find, Instagram, to find more information. And I saw a post that someone had made about it. And in the post, the person from New Orleans, or who lives in New Orleans, says like, you guys, we've got to do something to stop the saltwater because we don't want to end up like Jackson. And I stop there and like get the audience reaction. It's usually negative because obviously it's like not a nice thing to say. But I come around and I'm like, well, the joke to me about the situation was that if the city is struggling with saltwater intrusion, like it's not a water crisis that you can necessarily compare to Jackson's, because we have boil water alerts and you boil it and it's safer to drink. But if you boil salt water, you're still stuck with salty water. And so I say like, you guys aren't gonna end up like Jackson, you guys are fucked. And like, that's the joke. And so it's usually like, it hits, it's usually what I call a slow burn joke, because I'll get into talking about like the different types of water, and people like, it maybe will go over someone's head that like, you can't boil salt out of water, and like, but that's really not the reason that I even make that joke. It's just to bring awareness to, honestly, the fact that Jackson's not alone in our fucking crumbling infrastructure of water, and maybe even get people to think about some of the similarities that Jackson and New Orleans have. Like, we are cities that are really black, and it's crazy that we don't have access to clean water. Mm-hmm. And I feel like people are very aware of by design. It's very intentional, down to the food we eat. And so I try to use my platform to talk about things that are, I guess, touchy, because I try to, I guess, just share, number one, awareness, but also offer a different perspective on it, because I feel like if it's something that's mentionable, it's manageable, and if we can laugh about it, we can talk about it, and if we can talk about it, we can bring awareness, and that's how we find solution. And I think just having the knowledge and the perspective to know that the water crisis that we're experiencing in Jackson is not unique, is frustrating, but also to me, like, is an opportunity to bring voices together, because it's like, if this isn't unique, where other places this is happening, and how can we maybe bring awareness to this and maybe hold some people accountable for the things that we're having to endure. But yeah, that joke aged terribly. It did, it absolutely did. But I think that in time, it'll, like I said, it's a slow burn joke, and I think that's one that people will understand just honestly as they grow in, I don't know, just their radicalization of society and the things that we're being forced to deal with. I think that joke is way bigger than just pointing out the fact that there's dirty water. I think it's pretty insane that two cities 3 hours apart from each other are struggling with that. And a lot of people don't know that New Orleans also struggles with that. So I encourage them to do research about it and see what type of things are being done, and see if we can implement some of those here to just get resolved. So yeah, that's a joke that aged poorly, but I still feel very passionate.
Yeah, I mean, this is not about me.
Look, you're so funny. I want to hear.
No, because I come from, I went to school for urban planning and urban design, so I like the way water works and water infrastructure in cities is like interesting to me, and that's all. Yeah, like I'm with you, because it's like we need water for so much, we use it every single day, and to think that the water that we're surrounded by is unhealthy and is negatively affecting us.
Absolutely.
New Orleans has high levels of lead in the water, which is an issue that people don't know about. Right, and Jackson does too. I think that also needs. A lot of attention needs to be paid really about our water sources and the water infrastructure and water contamination, because unfortunately it's not just Flint. Like, it's places, it's cities across the country. And especially in the South, it's cities that are black. Yes. And the more research I did about the just water crises, I guess, happening other places, I learned that there was like a city in Texas, predominantly black. They don't even have running water. So just hearing just how low this could really go, it opened my mind. I think Johnny will be talking more about it, and unfortunately, as a comedian, I will be making jokes about it, because that's how I process the trauma of that. Yes, absolutely. So, on Jackson, you're from Jackson. I am from Jackson. And tying it into your event curation and production work, so what inspired you, or what led you to start making shit happen there? Oh my gosh, that one also I feel like took off in a way that I can't take much credit for. It started here in New Orleans, actually. I used to work with some really talented musicians who had an idea to just to go on tour, and they wanted help, and so we all kind of put brains together and started like figuring out how we could coordinate shows. Ultimately, the tour ended up falling apart, but throughout that process, I've just learned a lot about curating spaces, and this was a group of people. I enjoyed the spaces that they curated because I personally felt really safe at them. I felt like I had found community at them, and I really was in love with the fact that these spaces didn't look like spaces that I had traditionally been part of.
And so I just wanted to learn as much as I could about it, and like I guess like what makes it tick, like what makes this different from other spaces that people go to try to build community or network. Like why did this one feel like just so easy to return to? And I just think it was because it was so carefree. People could wear whatever they wanted. The people playing music were always trying new things and like introducing new like sounds to us, and so you never really knew what to expect each time. And that was a journey that we all took together, and I thought that was really fun. So when I made the decision to leave New Orleans and go back home, I noticed kind of quickly that there weren't a lot of spaces that made me feel like that there. And even my first 2 months that I moved back to Jackson, I was like making arrangements to like leave and drive 3 hours to go to a rave. And I had booked a hotel for a weekend. We ate out every day, gas, money, shopping. And I thought about it, I was like, by the time I spent all that money, I could have literally probably maybe booked a small venue and a DJ to come, you know, give us that experience here in Jackson. And then it was also a privilege check because I wasn't really creating spaces up until like the last 2 years. And I feel like I learned, a part of my learning about what type of spaces I wanted to create was just being outside. I went to music festivals every year. I was a big concert head. Every dollar I spent in college, I would spend it on travel and a concert ticket.
Literally say.
And I just was really like in awe of the production world. I studied biology, and it was nice to, on the weekends, have a place where like I felt like unapologetically myself. I was dancing, having a good time. I didn't know at the time of releasing all the shit that I would have been carrying during the week. And I was craving that music festival high every summer, and I think that's why I would you paid arm and a leg to be GA sweaty at the festival because you're chasing that high. And so I was like, well, how could I maybe bring just at least a piece of that to a place or some like, I don't know, communities where people won't have a chance to go spend an arm and a leg on a music festival. And meet a community of people that is non-judgmental. I felt like Jackson was also worthy of just having a space like that in general, because there are people that get it and that are doing the same thing that I'm doing, where they're saving every time they have to, you know, get to a hangout festival or to get to a Bonnaroo. And those are all experiences that, you know, are amazing, but you shouldn't have to feel like you need to leave Jackson to go meet some people you can dance with unapologetically. And that was just, I guess, my inspiration behind it. And I've had fun. Like, I've had a good time at the parties that I've hosted. And, you know, the people that came also had fun. And I think that's what it's about. I've gotten just feedback I wasn't expecting. Anything from, oh, when you first, you know, announced the rave was happening, I didn't think it was real. To like, thank you so much for this, like I found my people here. And so it's like, now I feel like I do it for a different reason, just so like, I wanted to, I guess, introduce something, but now I feel like I need to like, just keep providing opportunities for people to meet similar-minded people, because I think that I would have had a really different experience living in Jackson if I was around people that thought like I did and we had a space to be ourselves. So yeah, now it's just like, I'm passionate at this point.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. Is there one particular event or event series that you really felt that high that you described?
Ooh, I would say, okay, I'm chasing a high every time. And it's so funny because I think whether I want to give myself credit for it or not, it does happen.
I'll give you the credit now.
I'm joking.
It be happening. I be seeing all the flyers of the events, not just be like,
they do be happening.
it's motion.
Yeah, but people support it, and so I feel comfortable even taking a risk on it, because I just feel like it's needed right now. I don't know. It is happening. I guess I am doing the thing, but also like I enjoy it, and I just want to like spread that joy. And I've just been learning more about like people, elders, if you will, in the community that have basically created some of the same spaces that I'm doing now, but maybe now they're older, they have kids, They work full time, and so they don't have as much time or dedication to like give to it. So I love I guess the idea of like picking up the torch and kind of picking up where they left off, and just kind of, I don't know, bringing some more cohesion to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you see it still creating in Jackson, or do you see yourself like taking the same type of vibe on the road, other places across the country?
Yeah. Yes, I would love to, I guess, share this feeling with every person in the world. Like that would be ideal. But strategically, I guess that looks like I guess on the flip side of like creating these events in Jackson for people to experience what that scene feels like without leaving Jackson. I would love to give artists and performers outside of Jackson a chance to come here and see what Jackson is about. But also give some Jackson artists, like some DJs and performers, a chance to maybe build a network with the artists that come and also perform out of state as well, and get a chance to, I guess, just connect with a new audience or a new scene, because we're doing the same thing. So I would love to see, I guess, a type of like exchange network happen or something like that, where we're getting DJs that we book to come down, invite our DJs to the South to come back up, and we kind of create a community in the scene that way. So I'm definitely trying to just figure out logistics for all that, and you want it to be in a space that I want it to be in a way that doesn't like feel like I'm coming in and trying to like take advantage of a community. I feel very strongly about community collabs, coming into a new space and working with an existing organization that has similar values.
Wait, full stop.
Yes.
What's Community Collabs?
LOL, Community Collabs. I guess it's the umbrella organization that I'm hosting all of these events under, because a wise person told me it would be better to do it under an LLC, no more, no less. I try to keep the community collabs as faceless as possible. I don't really want it to be about me. I don't really post pictures of myself. I was really upset when someone wanted to do an admin reveal one time, but like I let it happen because I just don't want it to be about me, and that's just not what it's about. But I would love to see the spaces that we're calling underground, which is just a community of independent artists, have some type of sustainability. I think there's a very common theme of these spaces existing and then going away and then having to come back and then going away. And I would love to see some type of sustainability. I know that part of that is popularity, but also like the need for non-judgmental community never goes away. So I would love to just let this grow in a way that's sustainable. So it's not like something that's happening and then like you don't hear about it for a long time. Yeah. Thank you.
So my last question is, where has this part of your creative journey taught you? Or what has this part of your creative journey taught you?
How much more time do we have left on this podcast? Yo, I've learned like so much. Everything from how to treat myself to how I should be treating other people to, I guess, even really learning what the hell community is. And I think that has just been like one of the greatest lessons. It's like basically crumbling up the previous idea that I had of community and replacing it with something that is sustainable, and continuously operating outside of my comfort zone has been a huge lesson, because I have to remind myself, I majored in biology. Like, I wanted to be a doctor. I was working in medicine during the start of COVID, and that's when I learned that maybe I wasn't as passionate about helping people in that way than I thought. And so this has been a relatively new journey for me. And then even the first 2 years of that, of your creative journey, you're figuring out what you want to do. I started off as a photographer. I wanted to write articles for a magazine, and so I was like, okay, you want to write, you enjoy like capturing like moments. What are other ways that you can maybe still scratch that itch, if you will, but like maybe doing something that's more in alignment, or something that is easier, because photography was hard. So like it's just being, I guess, open to sucking at stuff too, and pivoting as well. And then once you find something you like, still allowing yourself to suck at that some more. it hurts to go back and watch some of my first ever comedy stand-up videos, but now I'm watching them, I guess with just a different perspective, like look how far you've come. So it's just, yeah, definitely emphasizing operating outside of your comfort zone and being willing to re-examine everything you thought was true. Yes, definitely.
Ashe. So, where can people find you?
LOL, you can find me at my house, in my bed, but you can also find me on Instagram. It's Aftan, AFTAN, Captain, CAPTAIN. I might start posting on TikTok again.
Community collabs.
Oh, and community freaking collabs, obviously. Please follow community collabs. That one I think is probably the most, active right now as well. And that's where I try to not only post events that I'm doing, but any type of independent artist event that I see happening, like in New Orleans or Jackson. I've also gotten a chance to link up with some artists in Brooklyn and Chicago and like Indianapolis, and I share their flyers all the time. Like, if you're Black, you live in New Orleans, you happen to be in Indianapolis, go pull up on me at a show. And I think it's important because even when I travel, I do feel forced to go to a club or something. I want to meet people, and I feel like if I was aware of like just an already functioning community of independent artists, I would know where I would be spending my spare time in new cities. So I want community collabs to be a resource as well, to like meet people and for them to network and share, talents and stuff. So definitely follow community collabs. It's on Instagram. I think we'll get a website, which will help me get a logo soon. We're like legitimizing. I was like, this thing's growing. I just want it to be like a little like underground Instagram kiki, but now we're becoming
big team.
People like love crazy stuff in Jackson, so we're gonna like just expand and just see where this goes. Keep creating space.
I love that for the city of Jackson.
Yeah. I hope they love it for them too. They don't understand what I'm doing. The people who get it, get it.
The people who get it.
And the ones that don't,
don't buy a ticket.
Yeah. It may be a slow burn for them.
So
Yeah,
you can laugh later.
You can laugh later. So hopefully it'll be sustainable enough for them to join when they're already. And that's the goal. So never too late.
I'll show you to that.
Yeah.
You can find me on Instagram at Miss Irene EYERENE, and this is the Hella Creative Podcast.
Yeah.
We out.
Here we come.
So loud.
Emasculating, gravitating and captivating like negative energy. Track the greatest in a pack of nation, bigger give synergy over it. Positive vibes and smolder it in our essence for free. Cancel madness with the vibes and kill them benevolently. And evidently, we keep autumn leaves to the winter tree. The bohemians living minds with freedom from belittlement, self-balanced, enlightened, high through the medium. Discipline and control undid the hinge on the soul that like truth. And so now I'm high on life, this invention I stroll so unusual through the world. Time and I truly quarrel, my mind is to root this world. And this tree of life designed to close feudal flows. The school ain't teach this, participated every day in class, but the neocortex was in it speechless. The information I didn't need, forced to take, never did believe.